Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Destiny with James Senior Green. I would like to remind you to go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel that is also called Let's Talk Destiny with Jamie Green. There are some amazing stories over there, conversations, testimonies that will absolutely bless your life. So, tonight I am just honored to have a young lady with me that I've known for many, many years. It's been a while since we had talked to each other, and I'm just so blessed that we reconnected. Um, and I'm just impressed by what she's doing and how she is living out her life. Like, I'm just thrilled. I get excited when I see young people fulfilling their purpose. As most of you know, been following me for the last 2 years. Let's Talk Destiny is a purpose driven format. And so I just want every one of us to understand that we have unique purpose. We are born with purpose, and it is so important for us to be living out our purpose. And tonight, I have a young lady who is not only a friend, I consider a friend, but she's also her organization, Heart and Soul Performing Arts, is sponsoring the Let's Talk Destiny talk show this month, and I'm just thrilled and honored. I've been asking for sponsors for a while now, and as soon as she found out about that opportunity, she did not hesitate to help, and I'm just excited tonight. So tonight, I want to welcome to the platform for the very first time, but definitely not the last time, Miss Jennifer Dickerson.
Hello, everyone. It is definitely great to be here to share this platform with you, to kind of share the background and the journey of how Heart and Soul was established, the purpose and the direction that it's headed. I'm grateful to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Heart and Soul. I know it was established in 2018, and I'm impressed with what I'm seeing in the news, articles that we're seeing in the community, how this organization is blessing the lives of our young people and changing lives one step at a time. So, talk to us a little bit about Heart and Soul, what it is, and exactly what it is that you're doing in the community.
Okay, so you stated that it was founded in 2018. Actually, the name was founded in 2018. The step team actually was established in 2015. In 2015, I was an employee at Glen Avenue Elementary School. And during the fourth quarter of the school years, usually a lot of our children, we usually see an increase in challenging behaviors and usually a decrease in academic excellence. So the program was parallel to another program called Nothing But Net, which I think is being reestablished this year, where we get about 30 kids or 40 kids together that want to be athletes in basketball, and then who want to cheer and or step. This particular year my daughter was on the step team, and I had no plans of actually being a coach or doing anything with it. I just stayed there. There was another young lady that was there running the program, but I could see within the program that some of the behaviors there were spilling over from school into the program. So I felt like it wherever there's a need, I always seem like if I can help, if I have the means to help, it's just my natural nature to like jump in, especially when it comes to respect to adults and somebody in a position of authority. So that particular year, I just simply was like, I seen some behavior issues, and I kindly called a couple of the kids over, and we kind of talked to them. It was a step team at that time. They were called the Glen Avenue Steppers. We called the Gas Steppers. Um, but I was just there to be a support. The following year, the following school year, so we did see some improvement there in that program that year. That was 2015. Um, the following year, the coach that was there, she left, and I was like, what am I gonna do? But I definitely did not want these children that had shown so much growth last year to be lost into the upcoming year. So I stayed in touch with those children who were a part of the step team that particular year. And we did it again in the fourth quarter. And this time I was actually the coach. I didn't, so Heart and Soul didn't, well, the step team, I didn't choose it, it chose me. When destiny and purpose is a part of your life, it chooses you. And I
Yeah.
knew right then that I could not let it escape me. So I also was about change. So it's like, if I can just change one life, it if I can change one life, it'll be worth it all. So that was 2016. We went through it, but then I also realized my apologies, in 2016, um, that we were holding kids to an unrealistic expectation. We were allowing students to be who they were, what they were doing from September until May or March, before the program started. So then in this program during that time, you could only get 3 strikes. So for the last 8 weeks of school, you could only get 3 strikes. So, I mean, what we call minimum behaviors was like disrespect, talking, not completing homework, not following instructions. Minimum, where they were less infractions, but fighting was an automatic exclusion. Like if you got fighting, your 3 strikes were out. It's 1 strike and you're out. If you brought a weapon, to school, then you were wiped out of the program. So you suffered what I call a double jeopardy. So you're suspended from school and you're put dismissed from a program that was actually designed to help kids. So in 2017, the school year 2017, I decided that I was going to um, start the program in October. That way I could set a foundation for what is expected of children, so that if they did mess up from October to May, or March, I'm sorry, October to March, then they already knew, because those same standards were applicable in October, so they had a chance to practice, staying on task, a chance to practice being scholars, getting their grades up, and all those different types of things. And then at that was the year that we seen the biggest increase. So 2016 or 2015, we had 20 kids. 2016, we had 25 kids. 2017, it jumped to 150 students.
Wow.
Now, at that time, our population was about 400 kids. So that was 1/3 of our school population, like, that wanted to be a part of the program because we had expanded it so long. That was the one year that I could be proud of. So, of course, that was the 2017, 2018 year. And I was like, although this is something I'm doing in the school system, let me find a way that I can make this mine. Because, although you're doing things to help the school system be great, I wanted this to be something that I could be proud of, because, I didn't want someone else to take the credit. And I'm not, and again, I'm not about being selfish or, arrogant or anything like that, but somebody else taking the credit for something that you established, you did, and then you leave and then somebody else take it. So I trademarked the logo, the name, and everything, so that when I left the program, the name, the Heart and Soul Step Team,
Yeah.
left with me. They could still be Glen Avenue Steppers, but the
Yeah.
name would come with me. That would be a part of my brand. That would be a part of who I am. So that's how the program began. And again, 2018 was our biggest year yet. The following year, 2019, of course, we had 250. It doubled, and
Wow.
it doubled. So I had to actually split up 1 day a week to 2 day a week. I had to have second and third grade on Tuesday, and I had to have fourth and fifth grade on Thursday. But while we were in that program, all these other things came to mind. Is The children are out for an extra 45 minutes to an hour. They're hungry. So I wanted to provide some type of snack that would help parents, and so we asked the community to donate snacks, a healthy snack that would tie kids over, and then parents love that. And then you realize that single parents couldn't get here in time, or that it wasn't as affordable, or certain things like that. So all of these things came to mind. Is like, I have got to figure out a way how I can make the program a holistic program, where I can serve the parents, serve the educators, serve the students, and our community members. So that's the direction we're moving in now, as it has been established as a LLC, Performing Arts, because the grander vision is, in years to come, that it will actually be a performing arts school here on the Eastern Shore. I see multiple locations throughout the U.S., but I definitely have a special place in my heart for the shore. So I definitely want that to be something that children can be a part of with the STEP program, um, and learning steps, fostering growth for their character, effective communication, their self assurance, dedication, empathy, leadership, collaboration, and all overall their holistic well being. Just a safe place that they can be themselves. They can learn discipline, they can learn structure, and still perform in front of other people. We work on homework so that they can academically excel. So they get about 15 to 20 minutes to complete assignments that they may not have completed during the school day. And just that assignment being completed during this time also helps parents that they don't have to sit with assignments that they might not understand, because education now, some of what we were taught as children is totally different than what the educational system is teaching
Absolutely,
our children
absolutely.
now. So being in the educational system, that was what my goal was, is to make sure that I was being an advocate for the children and the parents, that we can help them get this done. And with them turning in that assignment, that was the difference between a zero and a so though that's what academic improvement did. And then I'm seeing a lot of our students struggle with sitting still, so we also implement a yoga and meditation so that children learn in small doses how to sit with themselves, sit with their feelings,
Yes,
sit with their emotions, and just sit quietly.
I love
So
it.
we start with like 2 minutes. If it's their first time with us, we start with 2 minutes. We play like, we step, we run, we exercise, we co-create. So they'll teach me some steps, and we'll try to co-create the steps together in organization. And then once we get to the end, it's like the last 5 minutes. All right, everybody sit down, find your spot, lay down, relax, and just
All right, we're having some connection issues, but while we're waiting for Jennifer to come back on the screen, I want to thank those of you who are joining us tonight. Miss April Jackson, thank you so much. Miss Joyce Brown, thank you so much for being a continual supporter of Let's Talk Destiny. I really, really appreciate it. Um, Very seldom am I on here and you're not on here. So I appreciate that. And we all understand technology and so forth and so on, and how stuff happens. And so um, hopefully Miss Jennifer will be able to join us to come back online shortly. And I do want to say, while I'm waiting for her, that I think this program, Heart and Soul, is so important because we hear so much about negative things about our children in our community, what they're not doing, the bad things that they are doing. And so when someone sees a need to help our children and they offer um, a sustainable way to keep them involved, I support that 100%. And so I'm grateful for Miss Jennifer and for what they're doing. And I don't ever want to minimize anything that helps our children. Because as I said, we're always seeing on the news, hearing it here, there, and everywhere, all the negative things about our children. So when we see someone trying to do something to help our children, we need to do what we can to help them help our children. All right, Miss Jennifer, welcome back. I
I
was
think I
enjoying.
lost connection. I'm sorry.
No problem. Like some things you have no control over. So let me ask you this question. Um, One of the things that I remember about you is that you love to dance. Before you started the organization, you loved to dance. So, how do you think that your passion, your personal passion, is playing into how you're able to bless and direct these young people?
Well, it's twofold. Um, I did like to dance, and I also like to play the drums. I don't know, for those that remember me in my church days that I was a drummer as well. So being able to co-create with dancing, which requires you to move the body, and being rhythmic with drums, it definitely plays a part in step, because now I'm working on um, EFT, that's emotional um, freedom training or techniques, which is what we call tapping, where people have the ability to tap on themselves and, bring healing to grief, anxiety, things like that.
Wow.
So I realized that all of this is actually what we do in our program. So when you start creating a step, it allows the energy that's inside to move, especially if it's negative. But anxious, a lot of our kids get anxious. They can't sit still, fidgety. So I'm able to put that passion that was instilled in me, that God given gift, to be able to put it into play with these children. But it also is a freedom for me too. A lot of times, you don't realize how hurt you are. You don't realize
Yeah.
how damaged or traumatized you were as a kid. And it doesn't mean that it was necessarily bad. It's just experiences that we just never had a safe space to express.
Right.
Um, and how being able to turn what you love to do into helping other students, it also is a place that allows you to heal too. So as I'm
Absolutely.
creating this space to help heal other children, it's also becoming a foundation and a platform for me to heal myself as well. So that's where I can say it's twofold for me, as far as taking my passion and helping other students. Yep.
And what's funny to me, this is gonna crack you up. I also was a drummer, and
Hey, yes, I remember.
yeah, like it was one of my favorite things to do. I started playing drums when I was 5 years old, and I got a lot of boyfriends that way. Like growing up in the church, have saying you have a boyfriend really just means somebody you see at church, because you're not going nowhere with them but church. And
Right.
sometimes these boys, they didn't even know my name. They would just be like, Reverend Green's daughter, the one that played the drums, that's my girlfriend. Like, dude, really? Like, seriously, you don't even know who I am. So then I started saying, well, you got to bring me some candy. You got to bring me something to church if I'm your girlfriend, whatever. And then my mother found out, she made me stop. But what I wanted to say is, it's funny to me, and I used to get teased all the time, that I was a drummer, but I absolutely could not dance. I just, I cannot figure out. And people used to say to me, "How are you able to use both feet, both arms to play drums, but you have no rhythm on the dance floor?" I'm like,
Listen.
I don't know. I couldn't even explain it. So when you said that about being a drummer and about I just got tickled on the inside, because I'm like, I was a drummer and I still can't dance.
Listen, um, it's funny that you say that, because two or three of my newest members, their parents have said to me that they have no rhythm, no rhythm, and I said, leave them with me, and they will. Because one thing about it is, we can do anything that we put our mind to, but sometimes if you're not interested in it, then you're just like, whatever. But these kids try so hard and they work so hard. After a while, when you start giving counts, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, when you start giving those counts, they start hearing that in their head, even in their sleep. And then my parents will come back and say, well, they're tearing a hole in my floor. It's what they used to say about us when we shout
Yeah,
all over the place. You just cut a hole in the rug. But discipline, and patience, every kid that puts their mind to it and their heart in it, usually you can see some growth. I've seen their individual growth. I've seen their unity growth, their growth as a group, as a team. I've also seen them grow emotionally. A lot of times, some of them have separation anxiety as soon as parents leave, but they grow, that they can stand on their own. They can age appropriately, communicate their feelings, their thoughts, because I give them the platform to do it, even if it doesn't make
right,
sense to anybody else. We
right,
can't tell people what their truth is. It may not be the absolute truth, but it is their truth, so we don't know. So it's just giving them the space and the freedom to express those things, and then they grow eventually. They grow um, rhythmically. And my girls, just after two practice, my newer comers, um yesterday we had practice until like 7:30, and I could already see that she was more on time. Yes, okay, we got timing, and I said the more we do this, I'm curious to see how much each of them will grow by the time we do the same routine in March or in May, when we do our bigger routines. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I remember where y'all came from. So
That's
yeah.
powerful. I see you, Miss Joyce. I'm laughing too because I'm still thinking about even as an adult when I would go to the club and I would just be doing that 1, 2, 1, 2, just side to side. Like that's the best I could give her money. And I'm
Listen,
still only giving that as well.
but you were moving, and whether you believe it or not, you think about, if you think about it back in the day, or even if you move now, how that makes you feel. I never forget. I mean, I don't know if that was dancing to a R&B song or shouting to a gospel song. After you got that dance out, sitting back and reflecting, it's like, man, I actually feel good, because I think that was an opportunity for whatever emotion was pent up on the inside
Yes,
for
to
it to be
release it.
released.
I
Yes,
love it. I
absolutely.
love it. And I think that is so important. I'm glad you brought that up because movement, dance, all of that is so important to us as a people. Um, and if you look at any part of our history, if you look at our African dances, you look at the
Yes.
church, it's always about movement. And I do honestly know, I can speak personally, I know I feel better when I move. And when I have those days when I'm in so much pain that I can't move, I notice the difference. And that's why on those days that I can move, even if I don't leave the house, I make sure I get up and move a lot because it does have an effect. Now, let me ask you this, Jennifer. What is the connection? How do you feel that your faith um, impacts what you do for heart and soul?
Well, first of all, um, mm, I'll make sure I say this right. So I'm gonna let this flow however the Lord's gonna let it come. My faith has always been my foundation. I think a lot of times we've gotten blinded by religious practices, but my faith has always been grounded. So what I do with my children, and how I impact them, is that I understand that um how we receive the word, and how people of the world receive the word is going to be differently, but the message is still the same. For example, we as church believers, we say you reap what you sow, right? But the world says the same thing as karma, or what goes around comes around.
That's
So
right.
what I usually do is I apply all of those statements in any regard, whether it's a faith base or what we consider the world. As long as it's the same message, I convey that message to the kids, because I want them to understand that the message is still the same. So my faith and my belief and my foundation is always going to be the same. It's not going to waver, because I still want children to know that there is a belief in God. But if they haven't quite understood who God is, we say higher power. Because guess what, they're getting the same message, because you're going to have to submit to somebody, and when you don't, then you're going to realize that you're going to submit to God somehow, some way. So right now children don't always understand, so everything has to be age appropriate for me. Some people may disagree, but what I do, it's working. So that's how my faith impacts the children. And I usually, like I said, we co-create. And even with our latest dance routine and things like that, it still always come back to them wanting to do some form of gospel. So it's like I don't force that on them. That's what they choose, and
Yeah.
then we put it together. So it just lets me know that I'm on the right track, because I'm not forcing religion on them. I'm enforcing rules. I'm enforcing boundaries. I'm enforcing respect. And with that comes a level of respect for themselves and to be submitted to God, to the higher power, to whomever, to the universe, but just to be submissive to the signs that are being led to you in the world.
And this is what I find is that, forcing, religion down people's throat and whatever, it doesn't work. Um, People need to understand about personal relationship, and how you present it is is important, because if we're not careful and we're shoving stuff down people's throats or what have you, even as children. I think back to growing up in the church and a lot of the things that we were taught, all the don't, and can't, and you can barely breathe, and all that. So it causes more resentment than anything else, and that is not what we were created for. And so I feel that our faith is important for sustaining us and what we're doing. And as we stand on our faith, we will be guided and directed into what we need to do, as we go forward in fulfilling our own individual purposes. And I am very proud of you, and I want to publicly say that there have been lapse of time in our communication, years that I have not seen you. I don't know what you've been up to. You don't know what I've been up to, but I know one thing. Every time I see you, you're the same.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful, um, for your love for people, and how you're willing to just do whatever you need to do to help. And I'm grateful for that. So as we're, going to be on for a couple more minutes, if anybody has any questions that you'd like to ask Jennifer, you can put them, in the comments. Hopefully I'll be able to see them. I have the hardest time seeing comments sometimes, but if you have any questions, please feel free to put them down. Now, I do want to say this before I forget. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. This video will be posted on there. It will also be posted here on Facebook. Um, there are things that you may not pick up the first time you hear us talking, so you can go back and listen. And it'll be a blessing to me if you will subscribe to the channel. Also, I want to find out from you, Jennifer, what can we as a community do to help you and Heart and Soul?
Well, uh, a lot of our students um, just need something to do. So spreading the word that we are here, and that we are available and ready for expansion. Being able to communicate that. Share our post, share our support us in the community, and just it's anything that you can do. You can support us financially, but if you're not able to, then definitely a like and a share that goes a long way. Anything that you can do, letting people know that we're here, because part of our vision is to revitalize the "it takes a village" mentality. So I say it all the time. It takes a village to raise a child, but on my last post yesterday, it also takes a village to run a business.
That's
So
right.
in order
That's
for
right.
people to continue to thrive, in order for them to continue to operate, one, as a business for youth, I need youth, but I also need parents to understand that I'm here for you too, because we're also gonna, when we finally do get our building, if there people know that spaces are for rent, we are looking for to find a forever home. But right now I'm traveling from school to school, and outside practices while we can get children outside and moving. So all of those little things can help. Donations for children who may not be able to afford our program. While it's not that expensive, but still, it still can be a financial hardship when bills and your own demanding commitments are overflowing. So, but anybody, even $5 can go a long way. To support a person who may not be able to have the entire amount just to be a part. Um, but I also did want to say this because this is also part of the grand vision. Is my goal is to lead by example, and in leading by example, at some point we have to be a living legacy. So my ultimate goal is to pass my crown pass my torch to someone who has my heart while I'm still living. That way I can give them the guidance that they need. And then I can actually see and witness the fruits of my
Yes.
labor.
I love it. I love it. So, what is your contact information for people that want to reach out to you to find out how much it costs to be in the program, how they can make donations, what have you? How can they contact you?
Contact me by social media on Facebook. They can reach me at Facebook Heart and Soul. That's HEARTAND S. I'm sorry. It's Heart Soul Step. So it's HEARTSOLESTEP. That's also our Instagram hashtag as well. They can also reach me by email. That's CEO at Heart and Soul, HEARTANDSOLE, the number 18.com.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And so, again, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. I've learned a lot, and I want to do what I can do to help. We've had, a couple of conversations about um, when you have a vision and you have passion for something, sometimes it can be disheartening and discouraging when you don't get the support that you need, especially when you're trying to help others. We're not out here trying to, buy furs and diamonds and
Absolutely.
brand new cars and stuff. We're trying to help people. And so it can be discouraging sometimes. But what we've both learned is that when God is for you, when God has given you an assignment, you will be successful. It may take a little longer than what we want it to, but we're going to be just fine. So I want
Absolutely.
to personally encourage you, publicly encourage you to tell you that I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that we reconnected. And I look forward to seeing what a mother's cry can do. We're going to do some things together to figure out what we can do to connect and collaborate to help our children and those parents. All right.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and we will talk again very soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Good night. God bless.